The following is a presentation of the Force Center podcast feed.
As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there, and welcome to Force Center presents Databank Dive. I'm Ken Napzok.
And I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and this is our show where we dive into the wild, the weird, the wondrous of Star Wars and have some fun talking about the beautiful Star Wars person, ship, thing. We did a season of this show on the great sci-fi app, The Companion. So if you'd be interested in checking that out, Companion has a bunch of great stuff, some Star Wars stuff, and all sorts of other science fiction coverage. So you can check that out. And of course, we loved it doing that so much that we have kept on doing it right here out loud in public on all of the podcast feeds. Excited to dive into today's topic.
Yeah, fun one today. We're in the park just screaming. We're in on top of a soapbox having fun. We'd be doing this without recording equipment. So, how we do this is Joseph said we go to the StarWars.com databank, and Joseph and I alternate picking topics. And I don't know how you come to your decisions, Joseph. Sometimes I try to make them timely based on shows or content that are out there. Other times I'm like, let's just get weird, baby. Let's roll up our sleeves and find the weirdest thing I can on the databank. Today, it was a conversation on our main shows, the news and cues and all those things we do. We were talking about Rise of Skywalker, talking about the beginning of the film, and that got me thinking, Joseph, of the Alazmec of Winsit, the cultists, the dark side dedicated followers on Mustafar that we see Kylo Ren and the First Order troopers fight at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker.
Fight is such a generous term because the Alazmec are not landing any blows in the footage we see. Maybe a trooper falls. I'll revisit frame by frame, but I'm very excited. I love the dark side, the cultist, the kind of spooky horror side of Star Wars. So October is a great time to talk about it. This is a great pick.
Yeah, and since I didn't really grow up celebrating Halloween as much as other kids in my neighborhood, I never really see October as spooky month. I just see it as, time to start breaking out a little more hoodies month. So the synergy is really perfect, and I'll act like I intended that going forward here. Let's hear what the StarWars.com databank has to say about the Alazmec. The Alazmec of Winsit are adherents of the dark side and particularly devoted pilgrims journey to Darth Vader's wrecked castle on Mustafar to venerate his memory. These Sith devotees are the guardians of Mustafar's Corvax Fen. We'll hear more about that, where they have planted iron trees in its scanty soil. They defend its secrets against seekers they consider unworthy, including First Order Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So that is tasty. That is some Star Wars spookiness. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's got some great spooky words. It's got some great big $10 words. It mentions that they are the most devoted pilgrims of all of the Alazmec of Winsit. So it's even got a little Thanksgiving tie-in right there. I'm joking on that one. But I really like, we always study how the different databanks or entries are written. Sometimes they have a sense of humor. Sometimes they're just the facts, period. And then sometimes, a scribe just really grows to work and creates some poetry. And I really like this one. It's got a lot of flavor, hearing about these cultists venerating Vader on the scanty soil where they have planted the iron trees. It's almost like a poem from Game of Thrones.
Yes, it is. Truly is. Did you pay the Iron Tree price? We'll find out. So, as always, we like to go to Wookieepedia to see if there's any more information, see if there's something that the databank left out. And really not a lot, but they added this. This one little line, they were equipped with a CX-55 scatter blaster and night vision lenses. So that is where we'll start our conversation here. Joseph, how, for those who maybe skipped that part of Rise of Skywalker or just don't remember, how would you physically describe the Alazmec, and what do we like about their design?
Yeah, I mean, their design is part of what is really fascinating about them. I can't remember in the lead up to Rise of Skywalker if we were we were told that there would be some cultists. I don't think that leaked. I think there was this shot of this opening fight, but it was really fast and hard to see. So I kind of like the fact that they are cultists, but to me, they look like mildly scary Muppets.
That's accurate. That's accurate, because I want to have the discussion here, and I'm looking at a picture that's actually from one of the visual dictionary guides. There's a little bit more information there. The fact that they're those helmets, so these big, wide, almost Embo would be proud of their helmets, right?
Yeah, these are Hyozo level helmets. Yes.
Yes, and to say that they've got night vision goggles, it just makes me wonder what is truly under there. And I'm looking at the Alazmec species. I'm trying to click on that here quickly while we're chatting, and there is no picture that doesn't have the helmet. It's a Jawa quandary. What truly is under that helmet?
It is classic. It's Jawa. It's Tusken Raider. Is that their? Oh no, that's all wrappings. That's all instruments, tools, and what I so love about it, and why I was rambling about not knowing ahead of time, is I'm kind of glad I didn't know ahead of time that there were going to be cultists on Mustafar, because I think I would have pictured something creepier. And then I really like discovering that they kind of look like the Swedish chef in disguise. That they're yelling "bork, bork, bork" while they're trying to fight and failing to fight Kylo Ren. Because they're not that, as cultists go, like, work on your look, Alazmec, because it's the big wide hat, and then the glowing eyes that are kind of the glowing night vision goggles, kind of spaced far apart, and then this kind of darkness that is like, is that there? Is that just like, if you could penetrate that darkness, you'd see a little bit of their real face, but it looks like a mouth, and it looks like it's going to bob up and down, going bork, 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 bork.
Yes, no, that exactly. The Muppet pull is great, especially the Swedish chef, which for a while, the Swedish chef's cereal was one of my favorite Saturday morning treats and tweets. Love it. No, because I'm fascinated with this, and it's truly Star Wars. You said Tusken Raiders. It's very similar in terms of the wrappings and what's underneath there, but also the eyes are clearly wide set, if that's the goggles there. Is the helmet wide, or are their heads wide? I have so many questions there. And then I'm going to spend a lot of time zooming in on a picture into this dark void, and I don't think I'm going to find answers, which is maybe what they want us to do, to search but not find any truth there in Mustafar.
I'm literally zooming on a mouth, and there's I can find no truth.
There's no truth there. Absolutely no truth there. He's saying a lot of great things about their design. And what I like too is there's this mystery. I think if I'd spent a lot of time going into Rise of Skywalker and thinking about, there's going to be cultists on Mustafar, I would have come up with something different as well. More like Night Sister, like, quite frankly, for me. But this is I like it. It's intriguing. It's different, and it raises a lot of questions for me, and that's great. Mustafar, I don't want Mustafar to have a lot of answers. I want it to produce more questions. So I'll try.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Classic kind of tip of the iceberg Star Wars storytelling. If we kind of need this, and we'll create something that suggests lots of unknowns.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also fascinated because I can't find any hyperlinks that will give me the answer. And so maybe it's in the visual dictionary. I will have to check later, but they're the Alazmec of Winsit. So what is Winsit? And where is it? Or who is it? What is it? Can you join it?
I like that Alazmec. That sounds a little spooky, a little culty, but like Winsit sounds like, oh, did you inherit that castle in Yorkshire? Like it's
Yeah.
Is that Alazmec of Winsit? Judi Dench is in that show, right? Yeah.
That's great. I love a good Judi Dench reference in a Star Wars podcast. So they're part of this opening sequence that we both love, and that's we were talking about it the other day, and that's why I truly did think about it. We were talking about that opening sequence, and I think you and I focused on Kylo Ren. We focused on Palpatine, or the cloners there. We focused on the lightning, on the opening stuff there. we've never really focused on the Alazmec, and that's why it got me thinking there. So they're part of this opening sequence we both love, this sort of horror short film that starts Rise of Skywalker. So we've answered this in some ways already, but what do we like about their presence there in this sequence, standing in front of Kylo Ren?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just are this great bridging of what is going on with Kylo, right? We get introduced to him in the crawl that he's raging against any threat to his power, which Palpatine represents. So he's on some mission somewhere, and then you're like, oh, wow, it's Mustafar, right? And so you got Kylo needing to rage at something on his journey to confronting, weird hanging from a claw, Frankenstein's monster-esque Palpatine with the lightning that we get into in that horror scene. And I love that, in the movie, you don't know exactly who they are. It's not spelled out why they're there, why they're defending the ruins of the castle. But just in the movie, they're great because they are fodder for Kylo to chew through. And there's something powerful about an action scene that isn't really an action scene because they are not standing up to Kylo in any way, shape, or form. It's not a battle. It's a horror film, There are scenes in horror films where, hey, maybe somebody fights Michael Myers a little bit, but then there are other scenes where it's like Michael Myers walks down the street and murders everyone he encounters. Yeah. And that's what Kylo's doing here. To the point, what I really like about this, and then I'll pass the raving baton to you, that it is Kylo's raging and almost, I don't want to say having fun, but Kylo's getting so creative with the variety of ways he takes them out. It reminds me of when I'm playing a video game that I know well and I can easily chew through all of my opposers. And I'm going like, I want to kill each one with a different combo. That's what it feels like Kylo is doing.
Yes. It's when you turn down the hall in a video game or, Lego Skywalker Saga, I do that. Sometimes I just button mash. Other times I'm like, ooh, I'm definitely going to hit the XY, XOXO combo. Like, I'm definitely going to do it. Yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't say Kylo's having fun, but I think in the back of his head, he's like, that was pretty cool.
I mean, there's some cool moves, right? The driving forward with the Quillian and then and throwing him down. There's a backwards thing. The shot right at the end always cracks me up because it almost feels like he takes the arm off of the last Alazmec. Just like, they were already down. They don't need this.
Exactly.
It's not a real finishing move. It's just like, your arm's kind of in my way. I'll cut that off too.
And what it succeeds at doing, it's the thing. It happens every once in a while in Star Wars. We've been talking about it on the Andor report with the character of Deidre over on the Imperial side. She's in the Imperial Security Bureau. She's trying to stuff out the rebellion. We should not be rooting for her on any level. Yet, because her bosses don't believe her, I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe one day you'll succeed. I'm like, wait, that can't be. These are Sith cultists. They are on Mustafar, a planet. I don't want to cast aspersions on the planet, but it's definitely not a great place in the Star Wars galaxy. It's not associated with a lot of wonderful, joyous things anymore. And so I find myself feeling sorry for these Sith cultists, those who are adherents to the dark side, teaching to the Force. And that's because Kylo is the monster in this sequence.
Yeah, Kylo is the monster. Yeah, and it's so when you watch it in the movie, it's all about Kylo. And then I do like their presence there as you get into the deeper dive stuff that you can find in visual dictionaries and on Wookieepedia. That the Korvax fan is named after Lady Korvax's whole character in history from the Vader Immortal video game. It's just that classic, like I said, tip of the iceberg of like, if you just want to enjoy it, because like, Kylo's chewing through these cultists, but if you want to go deeper, there's a lot.
And I would like to go deeper here in our questions. These are, adherents to the dark side, and I know I stumbled over it I missed a comma, and particularly devoted pilgrims journey to Darth Vader's wrecked castle on Mustafar to venerate his memory. So how do you feel the cultists overall, the folks sitting at Winsit or of the Winsit organization, how do you think these certain devoted pilgrims learned about Darth Vader? At what point? It's fascinating because I think I would have had a different answer in 1983 because I'm like, well, everyone knows Darth Vader. And I think the galaxy does not necessarily view Vader the same across the way if you know him at all,
Yeah, like I don't think he's like a star of the Hollows,
Yes.
Like clearly, if you're in the inner workings of the Empire, you are aware of him, right? But I thought it was really interesting in the Kenobi show that it was like, okay, being remote on Tatooine, you're not hearing whispers of him necessarily.
Yes.
That Obi-Wan could be totally unaware of his, or maybe he's heard the name Vader and has no idea. I guess that's not clear. So I think I love the idea that if the Alazmec of Winsit are long-term adherents of the dark side, that they, are thrilled by what's going on during the Imperial reign. I love the picture that they maybe encountered like a living victim of Vader, like somebody who survived a rampage of Vader. And this person starts telling them about it. And they're like, OMG. Greatest guy ever, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're joking. It's awful to think about. But if you're an adherent to the dark side, everything seems really rough in the galaxy. Maybe there's some whispers, but then somebody comes telling, he's like, it's not a whisper. His name's Darth Vader, and he did, and he disemboweled me. I have a mechanical lower intestine now because of this guy. And they're all like, where does he live? We need to go see him.
We need to track down and find him. And I think the Alazmec probably run YouTube channels, and that's why they, praise Darth Vader at every chance they get. I'm fascinated by it. We saw the Acolytes of the Beyond, and there's been other kind of similar things in Star Wars, and I do like it. And I don't just think, I certainly don't think it's just a comment on real life fans and everything. No. Even George Lucas coming out and saying in 05, like, hey, I think a lot of you misunderstood the Vader thing. We know that's there, but I just think it's definitely adds to the Star Wars galaxy. And I'm fascinated by, is it the power? Is it that, all right, we believe in this Sith way of thinking, and this is the best example? And then what do they think about Palpatine? Do they know about Palpatine? They got this Sith Wayfinder they're trying to keep safe, which might lead to Palpatine. I'm fascinated by that, and that a group of them, and that there might be some of the Alazmec of Winsit who are like, yeah, Vader was second tier. Nah, we're here for Darth Bane or Sheev. Like, I love that there's small group went off to venerate Vader's memory.
Right. Are there other Alazmec who are like, Darth Maul got cut in half and lived on hate for like 10 years, lived on hate and table scraps, right? Like, come on. I love that there's more room to explore, and you can just go wild with headcanon and, imagine that it is that kind of like worshiping a power that you don't fully understand, right? That's often what cultists are in, Lovecraft fiction and thing like that, of like this idea that maybe if they have a lot of devotion to Vader, he will return and give them some of his power. And instead, what do they get? Slaughtered by his grandson.
Yeah. God, the irony. Alanis Morissette would sing about it. So here they go. They live on Mustafar. Now, we know in the past, mentioned Corvex, Lady Corvex. I did not play that VR game, but I hear great things about it. I'm familiar with a little bit of the story, having just read the summaries. I know Mustafar had a little bit of a different past. It had some parks, maybe some other trees that weren't iron trees. I know things changed on that land, but this is where they are now. They are on this version of Mustafar. And what in the world do you think they do there in their free time?
Well, so I was reading up about how Mustafar is supposed to be healing at this point, and I don't know if anybody has struck down Vader's castle, or if it's just without him there, is there some of his dark side presence or the dark side energies that he built it over, which is in the great Vader comics by Charles Soule, like that dark side energy is receding, so it's collapsing. So it makes it really interesting of like they planted the iron trees, which are apparently like natural, and it says on Wookieepedia to bring back a healthier environment. So it's like weird, like we're cultists. We worship the dark side. We worship Vader. Also, like trees. Trees are a healthy environment. Let us plant some.
I was really fascinated in reading this and kind of diving into the Wookieepedia side of things, where they do talk about, you're right, Mustafar's healing itself, which talk about tip of the iceberg storytelling. I'd love tales of Mustafar going forward past episode 9. That'd be fascinating to see what happens there. Yeah, and I just and it's kind of that thing. I think of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You got that brotherhood that's there to keep the secret of the Grail safe, and I love it. And it's very pulpy. And I just kind of think, well, they just sit, did they go to the store? Is there a normal, or you just sit and watch it because it's a great cause? And so do they just sit there around Mustafar planting trees and waiting for anyone to show up. And then that begs the question of who else has shown up prior to Kylo.
Yeah, it just some not as experienced archaeologists, some treasure hunters show up looking for a wayfinder, and Alazmec take them out, no problem. Yeah. I like the idea that they did. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, the space Bellogs show up. Yeah.
And try to trick them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they would go around various parts of Mustafar and act out different Lord Vader battles. Like, here's where he fought Ochi of Bastoon. Here's where he fought Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. See, I think you do the Darth Vader tour, much like I'm a weirdly obsessed with the tales of Billy the Kid, and I haven't made the journey yet, but I want to get out there to like New Mexico and take the Billy the Kid tour. Like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird when you step back and think about it. Like, would that be the case with Vader? Like, we'll give you the tour. We'll start at the castle. We'll end at the castle. We'll start at the castle and we'll end at the castle. Big loop around Mustafar.
Yeah. I want to believe, I don't know what's going on with the manufacturing company that was there during Revenge of the Sith, but I want to believe that those mining droids, those DLC 13 mining droids are still around. And like every once in a while they encounter the Alazmec, and they're both a little weirded out because they have kind of similarly shaped heads.
Oh yeah. Great point. Yeah. That's funny. That's hilarious. Anyways, I wonder. I know they're not just sitting around having sandwiches, but I want to know, and they have a greater purpose in their head, even though I might not agree with it. So I love that. There. Final question in this segment here. We always love to ask, what is the magic of the topic we're talking about here? And so, is there any magic here with the Alazmec? What do they add to the legend of Star Wars with their certain brand of culty magic?
Yeah, I think they're incredibly magical. It is I apologize for saying it 17 times just on this episode. It's the tip of the iceberg, but I love it about Star Wars where, hey, this thing isn't the main point of the story, but it's really intriguing and we'll swing back around sometime and tell you more of that story. So there's just that level. But then to like the big ideas of the sequel trilogy, right? It's that Vader's gone. He made a better choice at the end of his life. But the repercussions go on. Vader's shadow is still here. People are still worshiping the scar of his castles, the scar of his choices. It's all still there.
Yeah, that really works for me in the sense, especially with the big theme of that sequel trilogy. Like we always talk about, and you mentioned here, just like the shadow of the past and lessons learned, and that can go wrong, and how do you escape it, or how do you embrace it, and why, and that is truly the magic of Vader. And yes, we don't get to explore it a lot of the movies because they're not supposed to. This is truly spice and seasoning in our Star Wars soup, and that's what I absolutely think it is. It is they show up. We got First Order troopers fighting him. Kylo's having fun killing them from a certain point of view, and that's all you really need to know. And the rest can be filled out later. But it's a world. It's not unlike Imperial dignitaries, where I spent most of my childhood going, why, what. How? Who are those people?
What are they whispering? Are they making dinner plans with Palpatine when they pull him off to the side and start chatting? What's going on? Yeah.
This is truly magical in its own dark Sith cultist way. There we go. So that's our first part of our look there. Any other final thoughts in this section here, Joseph, about the Alazmec and their black gaping holes of mouths? What? Huh?
No, I'm going to contain myself. And I think when we're done recording, I'm just going to watch these few precious moments of Kylo Ren slaughtering Muppets.
There we go. Stick around. We got more Databank Dive on the way. Welcome back to Databank Dive. I'm Ken Napzok here with Joseph Scrimshaw, and we are taking a look at the dark side cultists, the Alazmec of Winsit, featured in the opening sequence of The Rise of Skywalker, protecting, not in the best ways, I guess, not successful, protecting the Sith Wayfinder from Kylo Ren, which is also, I guess, we haven't mentioned the Eye of Webbish Bog, but not in the film, so there you go. But I'm sure there's some great conversations between Alazmec cultists and the Eye of the Webbish Bog. Joseph, I'm going to make this personal. We were talking a lot about this. Actually, there's one thing I wanted to, I forgot to write this down. I wanted to ask you here. I can't leave this conversation without talking about the CX-55 Scatter Blaster. What do you think about that gun in Star Wars?
Well, that's just a name as a blaster to inspire fear. And a scatter blaster sounds to me like it is like a sawed-off shotgun, which I love that, right? Of like I have several minor burns. I guess, a sawed-off shotgun is not minor, depending on the distance, right? That
Yeah.
maybe it's a blaster that just decimates opponents up close. But from afar, instead of having one blaster scorch, you're like, I have these 7 little blaster scorches in my shoulder.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's such a battlefront blaster, if that makes sense. Where it just seems like, oh, I got enough credits, I'm gonna go around with the scatter blaster, and then you play it, you get it, and you're killed immediately, and you're like, oh, this isn't worth the credits I spent on this. No,
yeah, because it's real short range, and if you're an expert with it, you're unbeatable. But if you're bumbling around, that's it for you.
Yeah, and it's the CX-55 scatter blaster did first appear in Rise of Skywalker. There's no deep cut. They didn't pull it from somewhere else. This was where it showed up. So I kind of like that as well. We talked a lot about being on Mustafar. You and I get asked the question a lot. If you were to live in the Star Wars galaxy, what planet would you want to visit? What planet would you want to take a vacation on? What if we were stuck on Mustafar? What if you got to move to Mustafar and you got the Alazmec there, you got some other folks? What would be one place you would consider living on Mustafar?
I would see if the meeting room of the mining facility was available. Little boardroom where Obi-Wan and Anakin hit each other a lot. It's got a pleasant view. It's got a little bit of distance on the castle. It's got, look, that table, it's long. That's a great board gaming table if you want to play big war games with miniatures.
Yes.
I would try to hang my hat there. And if I couldn't, I would try to find the tallest iron tree possible and build a tree house in the iron tree, an iron tree house.
Ooh, that's a great call. Didn't think about that one. Build up. Yeah. You and I went to the same spot, and there's other spots, in the Clone Wars, you got Cad Bane takes the kids that he abducts, takes them to Palpatine, another facility. There's different spots on Mustafar. And we got to spend a lot of time with the Vader comic in the building of Fortress Vader, and you got to spend a little more time on the planet. But I'm with you too. I think maybe it's because of the original Battlefront 2 back in 05-06 range, where I would want to go, hopefully to that facility. Hopefully it survived a little bit what happened there, and it feels like you could at least carve out a little bit of a life.
Oh, yeah. You can probably maybe be a little bit safe, reprogram some of the DLC 13 droids to protect you, or at least alert you.
Yeah.
Keep up the cultist alerts at all time.
Yeah. But eventually I would try to make my way out of there, of course. We're talking a lot about Mustafar, even though this is an episode of the Alazmec of Winsit. Do you want more storytelling on Mustafar and or more with the Alazmec and their love of Vader? Is there some more? We talk about the tip of the iceberg, but do you actually want that? Would you want to see that? Where would it be appropriate for it to show up?
Yeah, no, I would love. They've had the tales on Mustafar's on Tales from Vader's Castle kind of horror comics.
Yeah.
So there's been stuff like that. So I would love some more Mustafar stuff, but honestly, I would love some more from the Alazmec about how what their philosophy is. Like, if they protected the Sith Wayfinder forever, what did they think their reward would be? Or did they just think that Vader's memory deserves that respect? So they think that's Vader's and nobody else should have it.
Yeah.
Do they have any knowledge that, like, the Sith Wayfinder leads to Exegol, which is, if they're adherents to the dark side somewhere, they would probably like to visit?
Right.
All that stuff is really interesting to me, because you can explore different cultures and explore different, ways that the dark side can lie to you, Yeah. And if their culture is venerating, Vader's memory, like, do they build statues? Do they have Vader Day? Does anybody get to dress up as Vader?
I love Vader Day. We're gonna cut some like a cake version of Fortress Vader. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm with you on it. The question of what's the reward? Why are you there? Do you feel as though you have to protect it? Is there someone worthy? Because the comment is, Kylo Ren wasn't worthy. Do you feel there is a prophecy of a second coming? Does Luke Skywalker show up? Right? Does he? Yeah. Is there something to that? And I will say this: I don't mind having lack of information on Mustafar. I feel we have more coming in the history of the planet and everything. I would love to return there. I love when we go back there in other parts of the Star Wars story, including Rise of Skywalker. It was like, oh wait, is that Mustafar? Oh my God, we're doing Mustafar. That's great. I'm fine with it. But similar to Yoda's species, I don't need all the answers with Mustafar, but I do want a little bit more with the Alazmec cultists. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not needed in Rise of Skywalker, and it would be great to get many, many more details on their choices. And also, like, they got real organized on, we must be the best pilgrims ever, go to Mustafar, and we should also all have the same kind of blaster. Let's get organized on that and place an order on in Galactic Amazon to get the same blaster.
Let's try some out here. A door-to-door blaster salesman showed up, and this is the one they chose here. Final question here. We love our merch. We really do. And the question is, would you buy an Alazmec hat or the night vision goggles if they were sold at Batu on Galaxy's Edge?
I would absolutely buy the hat, particularly if it included like light up goggles. And then I would never wear it. I would set it upside down and use it to keep Halloween candy in. Particularly if it was in a place where kids could come trick or treat, and it would just look like, what's that weird, scary bowl with the two staring eyes? It could be like these are Vader cultist hats, kids.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Plus, we're in the era of the 12-foot skeletons from Home Depot or whatever. Now, this year's trend seems to be, I've seen a lot of, at least in my neighborhood, large size, like a witch holding a broom in your front yard. Like it's all around the Burbank neighborhoods now.
Well, I got to make a trip to Burbank.
Yeah, come on out there. My neighbor has one. So not just the hat, but can I get a 12-foot freaky Alazmec cultist to put in the front yard? But to my own question about the hat, I would absolutely buy one. I think it would be great. I would never wear it too. Like I even have the Indiana Jones hat finally. That was gifted to me. I've been waiting my whole life to get one from Disney. And I finally got it. I put it on once. I was like, I don't look as cool. I'm going to just hang this and display it. I am not Harrison Ford. So I'm not an Alazmec cultist.
I do want, they're making all those cute creatures, galactic creatures, I think. I can't remember. Available at Target and toy stores. I'd love a cute Alazmec that really looks like a Muppet.
Yeah. That'd be fun. A plush Alazmec would work too. Well, there we go. We've talked about the Alazmec of Winsit, the Sith cultist we see in Rise of Skywalker. We're going to rate the wild and weird factor of the Alazmec. Our ratings based on one of the most original Star Wars weirdos out there, Lobot. So, Joseph, out of 10 Lobot heads, 1 of course being the least, 10 being the most, how many Lobot heads do you give the Alazmec of Winsit?
I give them 7.25 out of 10 Lobot heads. They're definitely weird, but they're not the weirdest. It's pretty straightforward that they're dark side cultists. And hey, if you're a dark side cultist, the ruins of Vader's castle is a great place to be. But the weirdness gets pushed up a bit by the fact that they do look like Muppets and that they're entirely ineffective at their one stated goal, which is protecting the Wayfinder. And what is wrong with them that they think Kylo is who could be more worthy than Kylo?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Does Kylo show up and say, hey, he's my grandfather? No, he isn't. Show us proof. Oh my gosh. That's funny.
It's almost like a sitcom thing with Kylo. Like, I cannot run into anyone who thinks I am worthy of any of my heritages, apparently.
Dudes, I've got his helmet in my collection. You want to see? I've got pictures. It's on my Instagram. Check it out.
That would be the only thing that could be better is if that end of that rampage, Kylo just force lifts Vader's helmet and just throws it into an Alazmec.
Love it. My rating, so you're rating about 7.5, you said?
7.25.
7.25. I like it. I'm going to go solid 7. I think you're right. There's so many other character cultists and stuff in Star Wars that it doesn't stand out as much, but the design does. But the design is also a weird one where I'm not afraid of it. I'm curious. But also they're still weird and they're part of a wonderful kind of weird horror gothic fantasy sequence. So I'm going 7 out of 10 for me on my rating.
A solid rating, I think.
There we go. Well, we are almost out of here. If you want to find more of the things we do, it's pretty simple. You can go to Twitter and find us at Force Center Pod. From there, you can find links to all the other things we do, Patreon pages, merch. You can also follow us on Instagram to get the same link tree to take you to all those spots as well. You can follow me at Cat Napzok or go to catnapzok.com for more information. I'll be in Seattle at the end of the month doing stand-up comedy with Mark Ellis there. Joseph, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is at Joseph Scrimshaw, and you can visit my website, josephscrimshaw.com, to links to everything I do, to my other podcast, Obsessed, and you can link to my YouTube channel where I am going to be putting up a lot more stuff in the coming months. Thank you all to everyone who has liked and subscribed. Continue to do that if you please. That's it for me.
If you please, that's it for Joseph. That's it for me. That might not be it for the Alazmec of Winsit. Maybe they return. We'll see. Thank you all for listening. This has been Databank Dive here on Force Center.